I guess I'm triggered because I saw somebody talk about volume, and I think I'm only angry about a lot of these indicators is because of how I was brainwashed thinking that, if you bought somebody a really nice diamond ring, that somehow that if it was a higher quality ring, you somehow locking in that profit. You're trying to like say, I'm getting in with a wide stop. Like if you're getting married, that's like putting on 40 standard lots without a chart, no ticker tape. You're just like, just in 10 seconds, get me out either way. At least, you're not going to lose too much. You may not make too much, but would you blindly step into a trade if somebody said, I heard the euro dollars, and some guy just like, really? Me too. I just opened an Oanda account, just put a few $100 in there. It's crazy. I'm making money. Some guy in the street said, but the signal service thing is another. I never fell for the signal service because I thought, yeah, great. By the time you guys cook up this trade plan, supposed, I don't know if they're just saying buy or sell. Holy shit. You must have scaled into it already a little bit. Am I too late? Is there a kill point for the trigger? So there is with the script because you can tell it, listen, in an hour, dude, just delete it, right? So this becomes very complicated. This is like having a bunch of prop traders that each is a separate moron, right? Their own unique moron. And you can just tell them, listen, get me some water. But they don't ask why you want it to be at a certain temperature. They're never that curious, so they'd follow orders, right? This is the idea of having an EA that's going to say, let me just look at this fucking data. And let me build a trade plan based around the way it behaves. And maybe you're going to have to turn this robot on during Asia, and the other robot you have to turn off during Asia, because a 20 pip bot is going to get trapped and raped if it's doing breakout strategies, obviously, in Asia. But getting in at the market or getting in at shallow limits and playing, or any kind of limits, is the market maker supposed. You're supposedly gobbling up liquidity like, it's like, duh. Like this dollar yen right now, it's crashing. It's probably going to tank. I didn't sell it. I'm not going to chase it down. Like, it's probably going to rip now very quickly. And so, I'll buy it at the round number. I think that's the best way to approach this. In the Asian session right now, you have to be expecting, of course, we could just come smashing down. How tight can you put orders in that thing to catch a falling knife in a size that your account can handle? So it's just a math equation. But if you have this Fibonacci thing and you have your moving averages, you're never going to be able to grab the mechanical trading system that is kind of like base. This guy talks about the baseline. The baseline should be, dude, I'm buying 20 pips deep in an hour. I don't know what to tell you. I want to buy low. I don't care the fuck if they blow out that one ticket. If they come after that ticket and I see it heats up, I'm going to front run late track that's 100 pips deep for 15 minutes. Like, if I'm buying 100 pips deep for 15 minutes, do you really think they're going to fill that fucking ticket? Unless it's the news came out? Like, it's like, you really have to think about next week. There could be some amazing, absolute fucking pattern that you're in the middle of, and you realize, of course, the aha moment for prices is that there's nobody taking the other side of the trade, so the market goes into stillness. And then some guy said, well, that's your confirmation of the doji. No, there's no confirmation on top of it. It's just a trigger in itself to one discrete trade plan. You can't stack up. Like, a robot's not going to be able to, well, the ones I've seen can barely fucking do anything in these markets, but only the one that can do it is the one I built, but it's very, you have to have layers of it running when you back test it. You couldn't just test one version of it because it's kind of skewing the fact that you have available to you like 5 time frames or 6 time frames that you can layer them in at. And this is in a totally automated situation, but in a logical chessboard situation, there's only one obvious choice for price to buy is in the deepest recesses of the jigsaw vacuum you can fucking find. That's it. Right now, I'd be buying this on limits as this is crushing down for 50 pips, no problem for the next 8 hours. If I would just lay track and go, I'm just going to go take a nap. What the fuck how am I going to make it? The fucking ripest goddamn prices right here. Why would you just put a big fat bank in there and walk away? Well, I don't know. What if it keeps? Okay, what if it does? I mean, you're already it's like, well, what if your car gets hit? Well, it already did. So, and then you have the guys saying, well, this is the top it's coming back to. Okay, great. It's just fucking crashing down into that now. Are you loading the wagon there? I think it's still going to tank. Would I start selling here? No, I feel like I'm late. Like if I miss this entry, this bottom or this stall become a top in one of these perfect channels that just wonderfully walks down the closing prices in the most kind of like a bridge, a true tunnel through the air bridge. In this channel here is uniquely, absolutely 10 fucking pips horizontal. I think what disturbs people is that this is an obvious distribution right after being marked up into this. Well, maybe it's not obvious, but okay. Let's assume that this is a double bottom. If we look forward, it becomes where people bail and get out. But in the true stop hunt mode of the market, it wants this little baby rooftop here. That little window there, where on the time structure, this bottom becomes a top, and that becomes this big controversy. And when it finally does leave the station on this big run where it's just clean and just steaming away, then it's just gushing to hit this, never hits it till here, right? So the people, like, it just kind of nicks, it doesn't even get in the window, but it does double bang on. This is just a 1 hour chart. Yet there's enough people trading this to make this chart easy. Anything past these two, I think, British pound, you got to have a lot of, you got to have, it just costs way more. This so this volatility also at the bottom of the chart is the ATR bar by bar, no filter. So you would run trade plans here that have a risk of you're getting in here during the quiet session. This is your breakout, or put in a hedge at the market with tight stop entry. There's no limit entries here unless there's shallow limits. It's telling you market's quiet, it's Asia, it's time to trade, trying to pick a direction. And so here the fake out, people would say, well, this is the fake out because it broke out and then it stalled here and then it went down. And you're like, okay, but hopefully you made 10 to 15 pips just on that ride alone, and maybe you thought it could go up. If it goes up 20 pips, why isn't it a good place to sell there? Why are people so pricist? There's racist and there's pricist. They're like, well, yeah, but dude, in 3 hours, it may be at that price. Why are you so anti-price? Look at this thing just, we could crush all the way in here, but the question is, are you getting in like every 10 pips you're buying 50K and you're just like, yeah, come on, bring it. If you could rip down here, right, got like 2 days left. Can it get down here? Are people going to come in and buy it here? Gee, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Are you going to waste time putting tickets in down there? This is the question. So this is how lazy people are. They got riding lawnmowers. They're like, dude, I'm not even going to put an order down here until I see it get down there. I'm waiting for my fucking indicators to catch up. Don't forget, I'm also waiting for confirmation to come off of this. I get it. Everybody has a different view of the market. All I'm saying is that does matter to some degree whether you're going to babysit. If you're going to be awake 24 hours, okay, naturally, you're going to get the best fucking entry. But sometimes you've just got to go with it. You come into a window and save your dry powder for the very rock bottom prices down here, where you know this would be insane if you could get this. If the news came out right now and it was bad or good, this is just a hole getting just itching to be smashed into. And you can see that the trading the news isn't about when the news comes out. It's what happens before the news come out. The kind of behavior just before the news kind of gives you a clue how violent if there is going to be a reaction, the dynamics just kick in immediately, and there's slippage, and depending if your broker is like first in the line, right? This is the only time it matters that you have some insane fast connection. But if you just have pennings out there that aren't based on, there's no way around risk. There's just no way around it. I know people want to think that, well, if I just did this, no. Right? People are out of their mind. Nothing you can do about it. And this 3-drive thing, okay, you may think that it's like horoscopes. Look at any horoscope, you're like, I can see that. Yeah, I'm out of my fucking mind. Yeah, I can see that. But then you think to yourself, am I just like, fixing that in after the fact? Am I just kind of like fitting that in? Because anybody that is trading moving averages and all these indicators and all this fancy stuff, I just got to ask them, how does your robot feel about this move as compared to this move? Like, what is its thinking that it's able to make money? I don't think there is. This is a whole different strategy or tactic than if you're going to accumulate a short position here and really just keep saying, you know what, I think we're going to go here. And the longer that goes on, the higher the probability that it is going to go down there. But who's got the fucking patience to keep distributing on the top of that and saying, yeah, that's resistance. I'm calling this as the big deal. Like, and if it ever gets up here, Katie bar the door. And when it does capture up here, so what it is the market's already laid the unlaid track behind it that's itching to be filled. These zones were, especially this sheer down move, like bam, it never got above that. People that are trying to trade a bounce here are just shitting their pants. Okay, a guy buys here and he gets in too big and he doesn't have enough money to buy here so he can make it back to where he got in, and everybody takes the same fucking trade off the table. Every move, after the move, okay, we have to kind of look like Albert Brooks in front of the market. Where do we think the market's going? Okay, let's fucking lay track out in front of it, man. Why are people sitting there thinking that's if you're going to swing trade it, you just put the orders in? Having moving averages, just to me, I'm like, holy fuck. The last thing I want to see is all the great things I missed out on through multicolored glasses, like a kaleidoscope. All the cool things you could have done. Other than think that, well, and there was one video called, I think it's still out on YouTube, called The Magic of Moving Averages. Oh my. Well, that's got to work. I just use the 8-ball thing, you know. But yeah, it is going to take, and it's just, look at all these markets. Come on. Look at this volatility. This is the ATR. Look at this thing. Are you kidding me? Look at how this thing reacts to this wedge up here. You see these 3 marching bananas? Why do you think it fucking ripped off that fucking roof? Does that have anything to do with the fact that this is also a bottom to become a top on the 4-hour right there? Gee, it's the 100-yard line. That's fucking crazy. But I tell you what, I mean, there are people that said, you know, this is the lonely wick. I'm going to start selling here all the way to fucking here. And when it gets to here, I'm just going to martingale in, but it never made it there. But maybe they martingaled in on the top here. And so there's a time to martingale and a time not to. The idea that martingaling, this is like saying the idea that driving fast in a car does not feel good. I mean, there's no way, right? So there's also a bottom, right? A bottom. This is a big fat bottom. Isn't it? Look how flat it is. Here's your wedge. Here's your little baby wedge. It's just like, oh. And then it just whoosh. Taking out the big boy prices. Look at this thing turn around. And who wasn't eyeing this entry? They're like, oh yeah. One more dead cat bounce, and then not even this guy didn't get filled on his sell till later on. So if your pendings last, if you're going to put a bunch of sell limits up here and let them last, don't be surprised if you wake up losing or winning money because you're like, oh, that's right. I put orders up here. Sorry. Or I put orders down here. So if I'm going to trade the British pound, my trade plan next week is this fucking stupid. I'm going to give away the holy grail of trading. I'm going to buy down here. And I guess I'm thinking about, I'd scalp around this thing. Definitely from here to here, I just put in sell limits for some type of, there's going to be some crazy shit up here. Rinse and repeats probably. But we don't know. This is a 4-hour chart. I suppose there's going to be quite a reaction here. We're probably going to go after this. I'm not going to put any sell limits there, but I'll definitely start on this top. So I just put a whole labyrinth of shit up here. I just have a whole matrix of bullshit up there. And that's if you're up for watching all that shit fluctuating on one account, but I'm not. But, that's another personal issue. Dollar CAD, same story. The weekly, look at this raid on Entebbe here. Gee, they kind of stop hunted these motherfuckers. We took out those weekly guys. See, I wouldn't get a stop entry in a weekly, but a limit entry in a weekly looks pretty juicy. Buying new lows here, rinse and repeat. How many times could we have traded that shit? But for me, I gotta be watching. I cannot sit there. I just couldn't. Waiting for this entry I'd kill myself. Look at it on the daily, though. Look at the rinse and repeats. Look how dumb shit this is. This is the bottom on the daily becoming a top. Bang, bang, bang. Now, somebody's talking about 3 hits and everything, and it really depends. Because this top, is that the same as this top? Well, this is a top become a bottom here. So, depending, every day there is a different trade. Like, if you're trading dollar CAD, it's very hard for me psychologically to go trade the euro to the dollar because I'm thinking, well, the dollar's involved, so isn't there some type of correlation? Even if there isn't. But when there is, if you have both charts up, okay, so it's like you're with a girl and then you got one on the phone. Like you just one at a time, I guess that's why I look at trading as like sex. One thing at a time, people. Now, yeah, you could juggle all this shit and and this is why the no-nonsense forex guy does exist, because he's taking under trading to a whole new dimension. So forget what I said. He really is helping people not overtrade. Okay. So maybe I like trading too much. But I guess I like the soft risk that I can use by trading a 1K 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. So I don't have to put too much thinking into the, you can only squeeze so much out of these markets because the spread is your enemy. And especially dollar CAD, I think, get a load of the daily chart here. I mean, I know you could say it's in an uptrend, but come on, man. Be honest with me. At the end of the fucking week, are you up or down on this trade? Can somebody explain it to me? Looks like it's going to go up again. Oh well, more torture for the bears that thought I was going to keep going down. I kind of laugh every time I look at these charts because I've seen so many fucking indicators that I really kind of know what an indicator with. I could just pretty much estimate a 34 on here, a 55, an 89, a 14. I mean, see, like I said, get the book by E-N-G. This Japanese guy puts out this book. I think it was like $100. Fucking pages. I mean, it's worth it. It's like 450 pages. Guy's got fucking all moving averages, indicators galore. And I'm like, dude, yeah, I see what you're saying. Indicators galore, and we've all seen it, you know. We've all seen the Christmas tree charts. We've all seen 40 indicators, although, you know, there is some point you really cannot see the actual price. I get it. Where do you draw the line with that? You know, it's like, okay, well, she's wearing this on top of that. I mean, she's in a fucking burqa at the end. Underneath that, she's got that bathing suit that's not qualified for water that just kind of bleeds blue. Oops. Yeah, who's selling bathing suits that bleed a red dye number 5? But really, think about the trade plan for the dollar or CAD is so simple, but it would just take so much balls to keep putting your stupid fucking buy limit right here at what you knew to be support. So let's just say the first big down move we see and it turns around, how do we know that's support? Because if we draw it across there, and I get the fact that the wicks have blown your support, but at the end of the day, that's closing prices. And it looks like a fucking train wreck, I get it, and you want to put a moving average on that, but you're missing all the gold that is in these wicks. Anything below this fucking wick, in fact, anything below this doji that's already been written in stone for this fucking market, it's feeding off of this thing. Granted, it doesn't make it to the 100-yard line every time, but I don't think it's actually trying to make it to the 100-yard line. It's trying to make it to this bottom, right? This is the actual pivot, structurally speaking. I know it's a little bit below the 100-yard line, but it's just, so is this. There's a little bit below the 100, but these are critical fucking prices. In a swing trading scenario on the daily without any, this is like naked trading, with just maybe, you know, a little bit of underwear. But being that we do have closing prices, the range is the brutality of volatility that doesn't give a fuck where your stop is, and it's hunting stops. Are you willing to hunt stops on the daily and make a lot more money than people that trade breakout confirmation? And of course, I think when people say confirmation, that also implies a stop entry, which can be okay sometimes, but unto its own weight, each trade plan is a ticket on uniqueness. Like, you're not going to paint a painting with the same, you could, but most people are going to go for, get 5-6 high-end pigments, blend yourself your own custom pigments. You know, if you do out-of-the-box shit, not that the market can see your paintings, but in a way, the stuff that the nooks and crannies that are going to be hunted down and just going to be a rinse and repeat stupidity where the market literally, here I only see I'd see 3 moves, okay, if I had to, and this is the astounding measured move. How many times have people talked about this? Well, it's going to be one of these. Dude, you know how infrequently, and somebody's talking about statistics, listen, if you weren't here to load the wagon on this fucking, and it comes to here, and this is also where, who else is making money? Even the no-nonsense forex guy's making money on this, because don't forget, he got in on this price pulse right here. Boom, he's in. Oh yeah, dude, it went up, I got in. Well, you fucking nuts? It's coming after this area. Or all my indicators, I got divergence finally. He doesn't know what that is. It's cute that he pleads stupidity to divergence. I guess because he's not selling a divergence indicator. Or whatever the fuck he's doing, I don't get it. But, you know, people have made, like I said, it's like the Illuminati or something. I don't know what to say. But this area here is ripe for the pickings. But the guy that's really got a little deeper pockets, he starts loading up here, right? So the first guy in town, if this is real estate, right? Okay, this is the ultimate, like this is when there's no more real estate left. But the guy kind of overpays a little bit because he wants to be in on some kind of property. So how much are you going to leg into these? Because if at some point you're going to admit that the market moves up and down without any kind of, you couldn't forecast, if you could tell me in the next 10 minutes how many pips it will be up or down in the next 10 minutes, I'd say that's fucking amazing. Now, it may take an hour to get to the price that I claimed it was going to, or it may take 10 seconds. So could I claim that my target was hit and I'm right? And did I really know that this is the price pause that's going to occur? Or am I just kind of getting in and I got good money management and I kind of run a trailing stop, which a lot of trailing stop bots, those are the most profitable robot you'll ever see because it keeps on managing, which is the whole point. If you're asleep, how are you going to manage the exit if you did not get out? Which you're like, holy fuck, if it ever makes up there, well, guess what? It zipped up there and zipped back and just crushed sheared people's accounts out right here, this very top. And then it just came ripping back, and then it went after this guy's stop, right? We'll just assume people have stops in here on both sides trying to protect their positions. And maybe you need to have a villain to trade, and that's the whole reason people talk like this and make these ridiculous kind of claims is because they need to have a villain. Damn banks. Okay, I get it. If that's your motivation, you think the Earth's flat, that's why you're going to, start not cheating on your wife or something. I don't know. But this area here, wow, and look at this. We never made it to here. We still could, and I would still buy there. I don't think that would ever change my mind about buying here. There's nothing in the world that would change my mind about buying there or buying this big giant cavern, this giant abyss. But for the moment, you could make the kind of argument that this was the trend line that we broke. This is the triangle. We retest the apex of the triangle. We drift up. Now the contest is how many times? It's like a Russian roulette game. And this 3 drive, this destroys the 3 drive myths because how many? It's like 6 drives or some bullshit here. I don't know. And look how annoying this is. And don't forget, this window here, once tagged, it's bagged. It's over. Look kind of how subtle, and then it's just, oh, baby, here comes the hedge guys. And don't forget, there's people that have been accumulating on the short side. Stops are stacking up. Don't forget, the trend traders still think it's going up. But it's not that the trend traders were wrong back here, because they were right back here. So why wouldn't they be right here? Another big fallacy, this moving average thing, is that, yes, there are people that are getting in with the right... Trust me, I've done more moving average analysis. I started in 2000 on TradeStation. I paid $2,000 for this thing. It had a goddamn parallel report key, dude. I've spent plenty of time on moving averages. Yes, you can say on a daily chart at this point in time, this robot cleaned up because he got in right here. And you're like, oh yeah, love that. But guess what? He got his ass kicked on this noise. Well, isn't there a way to take the noise out? Can't we put a Renko chart up and just start time? I guess. But then those pivots aren't price over time now. They're just price. In fact, they're even worse. They're random. It's bad enough the market's random, but you're going to put random bricks in there that turn in some utopian... You would naturally write utopian fucking charting is what the fuck it is. No, it really is not reality. It is like having an avatar for your wife and just saying, I'm going to put a different template up on your holographic face and you're going to be so-and-so. How do you feel about that? We also figured there's going to be sellers in this window. Are you willing to put sell limits up here without even worrying about it or fret? Up here, we know there's sellers all the way to here. Are we going to buy in limits coming into the rest of the week here? Are we going to put buy limits here? And just say, I don't even fucking trade this thing, but I know I want to buy down here. This is how bad trading really is in the end. It's just saying, would you buy down there? Well, I don't know. I mean, and of course, like if you do have a moving average, you wait for them to catch up. They're always going to, okay, with a moving average, you're trying to get in at the moving average. This is the standard deviation concept of using a moving average. Now, if the moving average is pointing up and the market's ripping up, you can claim that I'm buying because the moving average is pointing up. It's a whole nother rule set. when people say they use a moving average, as a guide, I think they kind of mean like, I know that I know the road's changing all the time, but I do have like, I think I can see around the corner because I can see where we've been road-wise, what to expect as far as the road that's coming up. But it's not a forward. This is Ikamushu Cloud tries to solve that problem by front-running the moving averages out in front of the market and saying, well, look, we've broken out here, crossed over, because we're running this, overlap that, and you can kind of see it. It's like instead of your indicators being in the lower panel, they're to the right and left of you. And of course, it's a whole nother bizarre. I mean, it's like Scientology at some point, right? Come on, it's like, okay, you came out of a volcano. Okay, I see. Yeah, why doesn't Scientologists have a indicator? We need to have more diversity in the participants in forex. It's just too nerded out, and then people are doing statistics with a pencil behind their ear. We need more. Bring back, make forex trading inappropriate again. We need more. And this guy was claiming I was a tribalist, and I'd have to say, I guess, for the logic tribe, that's my aim, is to go just try to be as objective as I can about the price, because I could fall into the indicator soup. I think that I've been there, and I must tell you, I was so disturbing because it made me even more impatient. I thought, when are my indicators going to catch up? God damn them fucking indicators. When are they going to catch up to price? I think I can see what's going on here, but I'm supposed to wait like I'm supposed to. I built an algorithm. By the way, I back tested this thing. Let me just show you. Come here, buddy. Let me in on something here. Looked at this shit a long time. Work at a prop firm, and let me tell you something. You got to be careful. Them banks be tricking you. They be like spooking you with the price movement and shit. They're manipulating it. Who do you think's driving this thing down here to stop hunting you? Who do you think's coming after your stops down here? It ain't Granny down the street. No, it's a big bank. I love that. I guess it's a flat earth view of trading. It's so cute. Like, yeah, they stopped hunting Granny too. Granny was trading with 2 tires stop that day. Oh boy, she's a tough one. She's like Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies. She's making soap out back. She's trading forex while making soap. Fucking Granny. The original. See, we could have martingaled into the very tail of that. That's the tail risk. Look at that, how they went after this poor guy's stop. Like, this guy thought, he's like, dude, they ain't never going to touch my stop. I'm putting it right here. Where'd you get in it, Jake? Got in here in confirmation. Went up, obviously. Don't be a dumb shit. Can't everybody see the fallacy of everybody's trade plan? Of course, there's not one trade plan. There's 6. Well, there's 8. There's not long, not short. That's one trade plan, and that is according to Alexander Elder, which I agree with. Most logical trader you could find. Plus, he's from Russia, so he's like, yeah, dude, it's like binary here. We're either buying or selling. It's okay to be not in the market. It's okay to get out. You don't have to plan your trade and trade your plan. You don't have to even do that. So this flexibility. So the no nonsense forex guy says later on, oh, you know what, you can deny some of these rules. Is this the idea that indicators are training wheels, and once you figure out how to balance the bike on your own, buddy, there you go. You can do it now, see? And of course, maybe that's his goal. We're going to pull the wheels off, Sonny. You can kind of just imagine where the road's going now, can't you? Like, if you can't picture what a moving averages might look like on this, or just, if I frame this properly, another thing is the steepness, right? If I start to frame it like this, some people would say, I don't know, it just doesn't look like it's going anywhere. Don't forget this move back here. Look at some of this shit. And I'm just going to ask you, on this move back here, if you were short during this period, did you ride that all the way down? I mean, a lot of people had to say to themselves, I get the fact they just sheared off all these wicks and this wedge. So this is my own trading discoveries. I call this the wick wedge. They just go blowing that shit out, and they just make mincemeat. it's only here that the big deep pockets, because look how deep the analog jigsaw is here. Look at this motherfucker. This shelf right here, people that can afford this part of town, this is the outskirts of town. This wick here, and this is only about 20, this is only a 50 pip window, don't forget. Trapped under the subflooring here, and look at this fucking auction, just mind blower. And we could have gone short on these rooftops, no fill on this one. There's a counter trend trade plan. There's a trend trade plan. There is a breakout trade plan. There is a sit on the sidelines trade plan. There's a way to get filled on a stop, which would be confirmation. In other words, it's going through price. You're expecting a momentum trade, which is different than a static pending order that you're just looking for the market to just play volley back and forth, right? Like volley for serve. If you're playing tennis, there's not much, most of your life in tennis must be a backboard and just dicking around. Are you really playing tournament, style? On this chart, if you were able to perceive this, and like I said, I don't trade this currency, but if I did, as soon as it got above here, I'd be like, holy shit. Wow. And look at the capture window here, and look at the rip back. It just makes mincemeat of what would be considered to be a pullback for confirmation entry to go along. No. And I think the reason that explains it is this hole is so ginormous that once it fills that, it's like, oh yeah, thank you very much. It's like a bird coming down to get a piece of meat. How often does a bird, and this thing comes up into this window, just like this window here. Look at this. Now this is the same trade as this, but this is only 100 pips. This is like almost 200 pips. This is 200 pips clean. The seller's coming at that rooftop. You really have to look ahead. You're going to be buying here. I'm just saying, if I'm going to buy this thing, not giving any advice, but who's not buying down here for a scalp to here? Who's not selling up here for a scalp back to here? Hopefully. But oh my God, if they take this thing out at some point, Christmas, God knows. They re-elect Trump, the fucking interest rates are going to go through the roof here. Because I do think that the Fed will have to step in. Of course, don't forget Trump is still a economic, conservative economist. He uses, I guess tariffs is not the best policy. Although, it's probably better than the Fed just coming up with what they think the money's worth. Of course, I don't know. Nature finds a way, like oil goes up. Inflation, okay, people are making more money. Prices go up to a threshold where people will not pay anymore. So it's kind of self-regulating, although when you're forced into it by a tariff, in other words, when you create a foundation where you're kind of fixing prices, then it's going to be like gas lines when Nixon was supposedly a Republican. Went and created a whole drama there at the gas station. He also fixed lumber prices until they bid them through the high of the day. I think it was 130, and then it just kept running, and people were like, holy shit. Fuck the government. They just bid it through the roof. Because all these exchanges try to regulate, and that's why I think these gaps you see in the well, of course the stocks aren't open all day long, but what a fucking wicked market that is. But yeah, holding giant positions over the weekend in forex is scary too. I think that's like end of the week trading. Forex really is a pure weekly. It's a swing trader's market because you never, like, if you can handle the spreads going to maybe 10 pips. In Asia, here we go, going up now here on the dollar. We're breaking out to the upside. Here we go, keep going up. I think this might be the last time of this line. Now, another question is this the last time here? Like, anybody that's trying to get long this thing is just about ready to kill themselves. It's very easy to step in the shoes of Trader Dante. Says you have to look for the pain in the market. Yeah, the guy that bought up here is just fucking, and he didn't get out every time it retested. He's like, oh fuck, this trade is going nowhere. These fucking trend look, can we see this guy that's saying, these fucking trend traders, I got my trend line in here, and they just keep fucking with, when is this thing gonna fucking, my target's up here. My target's up here. When are we gonna get the fuck up there? I should have got out here when we made this big move. Fuck. But, you know, they said let your profits run, and I did move my stop to here where I got in, and I got stopped out, but, you know. I knew the no-nonsense forex guy told me if the ATRs go past 1%, and I forgot to look at the 1% ATR guy just before I pulled the trigger on this trade, and I betted so much fucking money on this trade, dude. Oh my God. I mean, you could just see it all day long here on the chart. I sold here, man. I thought for sure we were going to break this fucking trend line. I mean, all we had to do was get into here, and man, I knew it just would have melted down, and, you know, it might have, right? And so what would clue you in, like the guy said on the 24-second chart, what clues you in the fact that this is starting to get very like, okay, here's a trend line on the daily, breakout, pull back, find support, which is also a triangle, which means lack of volatility. We can get a 100 pip range for the longest time on this chart, except for here. Let's see. You can think of any other times that we spent this much time. This is also the coil trade. But now, are you actually perusing these markets all year long, waiting for this fucking setup, which is I must say, it doesn't get any better than that. And then look at this first, just brutal, like, bam, get her done. All this energy is pent up into the tippy top of that. And look at the rip back. See, you wouldn't want to be, and then, of course, this becomes the brutal consolidation. You can make money trading consolidation on the daily if you know how to trade it, I suppose, right? So what side of the game are you on? Are you on the 1 hour chart? Are you looking at this going, you know what? This really is a fucking low. Look at this fucking low. Look, it's deeper, more meaningful than this low, although I wouldn't shy away from buying anything below close. So I'm going to give myself a lot of room. Why are people being so hard on themselves, picking such tight ranges? 618 is, and it doesn't, 618, like by the time you break out that tool, I can see this low. Why would I go for a tool when I'm like, okay, I know I need to buy down here because this is uncharted waters? Yeah, that's going to be a great place to buy. Let's see what other secret trade plans can I come up with. I think I'll sell up here. Why would you sell up there, Hank? I don't get it. Like, there's no fucking, I didn't see no stochastics on your chart. What the fuck you doing? Give me that thing. I like watching a goober show a goober how to trade. That's the cutest thing. How to trade stochastics. I bet I could go on YouTube right now and go type right in the search engine. Just go for it. How to trade stochastics. And some guy would be like, well, you're not getting it. Great. Okay, how big should I get in? And how often should I pull that button? And does it work on the 1 minute chart? And God, can you only imagine, right? But we've all been there. Look at this fucking mess. I can make this chart look untradeable as fuck. How's this? Here's my favorite. Let's go to the monthly chart and look for an entry. Oh, I see what's going on here. What the fuck? Look at that. It's going up. Hank, it's going up. God damn it. So in the monthly here, it does look very bullish as fuck. Like once they take this out, but this will be a huge selling window. Look at this beautiful topic on the bottom on the monthly. Yeah, ain't no noise on the monthly chart. Jake, ain't no noise on it. But I waited holy shit, 3 months for this entry. Everybody bought down here in the step hunt window on the monthly. Can you imagine that right here, you're martingale and you got more dry powder to buy down here, but it never happened. You're like, holy shit. It closes at the end of the month. Here comes the market order, guys. I'm in. Then they stop hunt the pussies that put in the 50 pip stop, and it rips the other way. Just fucking. This is the thing. If you're going to put in a market order, at least put in 5 limits for every market order you put in. That's how wrong you are. If you're swing trading the market and you're just saying, I'm going to buy a little bit here this week. I'm just going to scale in for the next 5 days, next 5 hours. That first ticket is a kibitz. You really think that's going to be your fucking entry? 10 pips cheaper, would you buy it? Well, I don't know, because I'm heading to a loser. Wouldn't want to do that. Okay, then you can't. That's not how I would ever trade it. You can trade it like that. You can figure out that you've got this amazing system that's just back tested all the way to fucking Granny's farm. Granny making soap in the backyard, and you're like, dude, this thing's fucking gold. I ain't even gonna give it. I spent so much time tweaking this, I ain't showing it to nobody. So I can already imagine he's got some adaptive moving average bullshit, but it doesn't, or some linear regression shit. It's not going to help you size that to maximize what is really, really going on in these markets. And at the pace they go on, and the absolute fucking psychotic pullback counter trend trade that is like on this fucking chart. Are you kidding me? Where in your life have you seen a pullback this vicious? In any currency pair? I mean, this is a brutal. My tequila buddy loved trading this thing because even when it doesn't matter any direction you get in. If he didn't blow up the account, look how much money he made. If he didn't blow up the account, right? That is the monthly dollar CAD. Look at this beast of a fuck. Look at this thing climb out of the hole down here. Look at this brutal stop hunt. Just taking out anybody that want to ride the train up. Or you could say that the breakout traders made a mint because they traded that breakout, but this first breakout was a fake out, and then the next bar they made money. Or no, this like I said, they in 1 month, like if you didn't take profits, if you were selling into that and you didn't get out of the trade, they kind of ripped your face off a little bit there. So I think the most clever trade is to sell up here at the new highs. Sell up here. It's going to take forever on this chart. Look at this deep pull back into this and then launches. And look at it shear this off. This is another, what I think is a cause and effect, is this wedge here. It just shears it. This is anything from here down is just so deep discount. My Lord. This is crazy. But yeah, this is all just, like, do you really see a trade in there? Yeah, maybe 50 pips. When you look at the monthly chart, it's very beautiful. No noise. Noise free, really. You want noise, just go to a larger time frame. I think you're kidding yourself by putting all these filters on the lower time frames, just because you just whipsaw to death waiting for. Plus, I'm waiting for my move. I'm waiting for my indicator to catch up. Kind of slow. Here's an indicator I built, just a histogram, 4 period, 3 period, 2 period, 1 period, moving average. You could take trades from this dumb shit thing, but you still have to change the time frame, right? You'd be short this whole time because it's blue. You'd be long this whole time. It's the only pullback entry, right? Yeah, just like a histogram cloud. But like I said, I wouldn't want to look at this because the reason why I would never use this for real is because, well, if I'm going to say that this is a bottom this is the double bottom becoming a top, and I got confirmation. I actually kind of turned green there, and when this failed, right, this pivot, it came back to there on the 4 hour, but like this house cleaning on the taking out the wedge on the I'm looking at this area here, right? This is a pretty big deal, and all the way to, we made it all the way to this top. We clipped that, smash back the fuck down, just blow people's minds. It bounced here, and you know what? This is where your robot got destroyed on the 4 hour because he had confirmation. He had pullback, breakout pullback. The cloud's green. He's buying this pullback, and then row, new lows. So now the limit bot's getting filled, and maybe you got stopped out, and maybe you took profits, and maybe you did. So a lot of maybes. But if you're trading this window on limits, you could run. I think if you're really going to be a bear, you're going to run sell stops and sell limits exclusively, and sell at the market every time it's up. A big bear would sell sell a little bit, but here's where they just destroyed you. So I don't know what people are talking about. It's 50 pip destruction there if you're short with a tight stop. But you could also be the guy that has the sell limits up here going, oh yeah, I got in. Here I sold 3 times as much as I sold here, and I sold very lightly, and I sold kind of light as soon as we breached that window. As soon as we took this wick out, you can't really see it on this with the indicator, but the black is the top of the range there. You also have this beautiful, all the pattern traders are in there. So you could say it's a combination, self-fulfilling prophecy. Everybody's participating, although the market, in essence, is really just saying, you know what, we haven't been down here in a while, and if we ever get down there, we'll probably see buyers come in and they'll rip it back to the floor. So it's, if you're using this moving average as a filter, I think you're kind of ruining the structured trade. I think it's better to be a structured trader and look at this as the lonely wick to stop hunt, and this window is a buying window, and this is a low, and this is a high. This is a top become a bottom, which is supposed to be a launching pad to take us north, but there was a little bit of unfinished business. Here we start buying all the way down tonight. Maybe you are going to run trailing buy stops for confirmation entry on reversal. Maybe you got filled on a sell stop there, but I wouldn't. I would put my sell stops in the baby. If it's just the robot's gonna look for a criteria, not confirmation, it's a single criteria for entry. Confirmation would say, what color is the cloud? Or something else. What is the volume? Is this a high volume bar? If there's one more element of criteria, then I call it confirmation. So I'm just talking about clean, naked trading. Good old-fashioned, clean, naked trading, son. Just don't be wearing no fucking strange outfits to the pool. For God's sakes, you know, got neighbors, you know. Don't be doing some weird, like, linear regression on my charts. Like, can you imagine some guy that has a kid that he raises on forex, and he comes in there into his son's room in the morning and catches him using Gartley's. Although he's making money because he's got good money management, but he kind of like, he's in the, you know, weird stuff. Using like he's got like fib tools. He's hiding in drawers. Can you imagine? So I want to tell you about Fibonacci. Step away from that platform. Give me your, get the ruler. Wrap his knuckles. Caught you using a Gartley. You think that's funny? Teasing my Gartleys? No, little kid turns on him. You know, got Menendez brothers trade forex. They beat their kids to death. They beat their parents to death with Fibonacci tools. Then they brought up a indicator on the screen, and they took an old school tube monitor and smashed their skull with a. Yeah, the police say there's actually they did a stream. They streamed it on YouTube and Facebook. But yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I suspect we're coming down here. And if we're not, I don't think it's bad to not get filled and take the Alexander Elder where there's no trade. But I'm just saying that watching people under trade gives me anxiety to a level where I'm thinking, come on, really? I mean, okay, I know the girl's not your favorite type, but come on, you need help. Like, you need to, there's that, what was that song by Todd Rundgren, We're Going to Get You a Woman or something. There was a time, you know, so that's why they invented online dating, I think. A lot of people got sucked into that too. Look at this daily chart. Look at this thing just steamrolling south. What brutality. And I saw some fundamentalists say that he was short here. It was going to keep tanking. And I thought, wow, look at this nice dead cat bounce we got. And he said, well, fundamentally, what's going on? And I think fundamentally, what I have to say is going on is this. Well, look at this trap we're in. What in the fuck? That's Brexit, what you're looking at there, son. Don't even talk to me about no fucking indicators. Look at this British pound. What in the fucking fuck? I know, you're going to tell me it's in a downtrend. I can see all the 100 moving average guys coming in. Don't you see what's going on, son? Don't be making fun of my 100, 200 moving average crossover system. We went short right here. Now shut the fuck up. You are a simpleton, son. What the fuck? Yeah, but look at this shit going on. Explain this to me. Like, I get it. You sold here and you got out here. You jeans, but dude, Really? Look at this retracement. Look at this. Holy fuck. Well, I'm still short. Fuck, I'm sticking to my game. Can't you see moving averages are like magic? Can't you see that? I love arguing with traders about moving averages. It's so cute. Yeah, I guess I could see that. Yeah, we could put the... Who's using the 8 crosses, the 13 crosses, the 55. So I was using that. I built an MACD like that. It was paint bars, though, like this. Just pull a trigger because it's a certain color. I like the colors you're using there. Look at now, on this 15, this is a wicked kind of get her done trend trade. This is almost, I said the half hour is cherry picked the best for this one setup. Somebody else asked me to talk about this other trade thing, and I didn't get a chance, but I did watch the video, and it was one of these things where you bring up the volume indicator, and when this move occurs right here, you say things like, well, structurally sound from the standpoint of that we broke out, pulled back. We got a green cloud. It's an all go on the half hour. And we've got like a kind of a volume spike here. Perfect storm. Now, were you awake in the London Open for this entry? Well, no, I slept, but I mean, look at that fucking entry. Were you the guy that patiently kept putting sell stops in and go, I know this fucker's going to plunge. I know this fucker's going to plunge. And you made the same amount of pips nearly than this guy? Or were you the guy that said, yeah, I think it's going down, even though my indicators, I'm fading the indicator, going to put sell stops in? And some guy commented on my video, he loves to do a stop run. Yeah, I mean, you stack these fuckers up, dude. There is no doubt. My tequila buddy, it's so cute because I overthink it, and he's like drunk. He's like, dude, I just put buy stops in. Like you said. He started trailing buy stops. He was on FXCM. And in fact, he had buy stops that were lingering up here. I go, you might want to delete those. He goes, fuck. He goes, fuck no. He goes, fuck them. I mean, he's the best anger trader, dude, bar none. This guy's a true alcoholic on tequila and beer and a lime chaser. Trading real money. I'm talking like he's up 1,000, he's down 500, he's down 500, he's up 1,000, he's down. I mean, he calls me in the middle of the night, dude, I got a trade on. Dude, check this out. I go, oh my God, dude. He goes, yeah, I put 200 in, I'm up to 500. I go, you should probably just go flat and go back to sleep. No, he goes, no, man, I think it's going to keep moving. I'm like, oh my God, dude, really? Like, man, I mean, you have the best parties, the best women, but you're out of your fucking mind, dude. I mean, you really got to cut back on the tequila. It's like, dude, he kept, and then he said he was a bottom feeder, which means he would buy in down here. Like I said to him, buy low, and he literally did. He'd get in down here like a fucking, like you can't believe. He'd say, it's going to turn around any moment. Now, granted, his money management wasn't good, but it wasn't good on a lot of other things either. So, he'd been drunk driving, he'd been to jail and everything. So, he'd been through, let's just say, living like a rock star can be expensive. So he was a risk taker. He still is. Maybe not anymore, but of course, the markets are gone now. Those days are gone. Like I really thought it was a scam, forex, because of all the commodity. It costs so much to trade commodities. I just thought this can't be true. You can't just trade without a fucking stop. That'll make no sense. And then they were calling them margin calls, and I'm like, that's not a margin call. I'm sorry. If your account's just going to go to zero, it's not a margin call. And so they'll let you go 40%. I mean, some of these brokers would blow you out and leave you like $60 if you totally got destroyed, or maybe you're down 270. So with real money, I fucking went into the weekend. I think it was 1,001 leverage. I had $85 in the account. I come into Sunday night and I'm down 180 or 200, and they just zeroed it out. They didn't care. I traded there enough to be a good customer. I think we're like that with most people. Those are the rolling, and those companies still do exist. But not to us in the United States because of the underlying structure of business being done, that people just don't want to see you with your own unlicensed, and that's the only reason computers are cheap, is because most of the circuits built in there are, there's no regulation on software code other than, well, people have trademarks on it, but in other words, you don't have to get it approved by a society. So it makes it very low cost, but the regulations come in, and then we're kind of forced to find a workaround, And you could just trade stocks, I suppose. I don't know what the commissions are for as big as those guys are trading in that room. I don't know what they're, to make $700. They must be spending at least $50 on spread. Like if you turned around and said, I don't want to be in this trade right now, boom, I'm out. Like how much does that cost you? So I see the pressure building up here on the guppy. On the top side, I can imagine stops stacking up here. If we go up, I could see a sweep. Here, there's definitely an abyss that awaits below. And you could be short into it right now. This is another consideration, is where are you at in this trade? Let's just imagine we sold this cloud, this stupid-ass indicator system. They're all fucking retarded in the end. If you can't see around the indicator, knowing to fade it, I guess that's the thing. If you're waiting for your indicators to catch up, then I don't know. I guess you're waiting for them to get perfectly situated. And for that to happen, I think the cure for that is to just keep switching time frames till it looks like, oh, you know what? It's working fucking beautiful on the weekly. So how does this indicator perform on the weekly? Well, here, two brilliant cells. That's the 4-period moving average on the weekly. It's basically a monthly moving average. Here's the monthly. Here's your golden entry on the monthly. It doesn't get any better than this. There's not a setup on the planet that could compare to that. No fucking way. It's also the glorious ever... it's like a dinosaur. How many dinosaurs are there? This price pulse here, this is the measured move phenomenon. There to there. Cardwell says pick the lowest close between those and put your target there. That is your target. The lowest close. Forget the wicks because I kind of blacked them out too. Another thing is, here's the way you can't see the outside wicks here. Also, there was a way I was going to make an indicator, and this is another thing I was going to work on. But of course, like anything else, it becomes a big fucking drama. But look at the way this indicator, I see a trade plan in it, the way it is situated, where at least I can see the trailing stops for the bulls. And I can see that this is getting to be a very small window, and these are big drama moves, so we see a big tail. And on the downside, the way I layered the colors, we see this, and this could mean something. This is discrepancy between 1-period moving average discrepancy, but just before, when it turns the corner here, also that other guy was talking about, this guy that I wanted to get to, the Amish trader. I just call him, he looks like Will Ferrell from, I can't remember his name, but he talks really. He's like an Amish farmer. He's like an Amish forex trader. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but he's like, oh God, it's like Mr. Rogers does forex. Hi, everybody doing out there? Come over to trade with us today. It's a good day to trade. This guy's just a trip. But look at this glorious measured move. So if I scrunch this down, you just kind of see the inside thing. And here you see the pressure of what Alexander Elder. He's got to get a better name. Bull and bear power kind of concept. So I studied with that. I went all the way to Chicago and watched him on an overhead projector. I first met him out in the East Side when they were doing like this conference symposium about trading, technical analysis trading, technical analysis conference or something. And I was really into technical analysis heavily. I mean, moving averages. I was like, wow, this is the ticket, man. Look at this fucking entry here. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Here's a nice triple bottom in the cloud. load up here, accumulation maybe. But everything's kind of got to turn around here. This top was supposed to be support forever in a day. So is this trend line on close. So a trend line kind of creates a hole beneath it. As the market goes up, it leaves this kind of void behind. Here's the kind of the crossover, breakout crossover, find resistance, kind of a cherry. This is a monthly chart, don't forget. So this is very clean, noiseless, idyllic entry here. But who's waiting 2 years for an entry, honestly? Yes, this is the head, the shoulder. We can all cherry pick the that's not what I wanted there. I gotta get rid of that. The channel thing kind of gotta move that tool over. But this stuff here, we've all read the books on these kind of setups. Here is the triple bottom top is supposed to become a bottom, but it doesn't. It starts to cave in. Right? Does this triple top become a bottom? It does for a little bit there. Ultimately, it's getting trapped on the wicks. Now we see the whole wicks. We see the true story of punishment. Punishment for the bulls, punishment for the bears. Slow rape for the bears here. And the bulls get crushed in moments. 2012. The starting gate gave back all that shit right to here. So here's your Fibonacci time ratio. Here's your 30%, right? Here's your 60%. So, I mean, if you really want to sell indicators to people, you just forget the daily. Use the monthly. Here you're selling. Clouds blue. You're short. Next problem. Now the weekly, not to mention the guy, the no-nonsense forex guys on the daily, I would take advantage of those auctions on the daily, those wicks. Look at the weekly now. This is what's so disturbing about the markets, is that we just went from a nice smooth monthly and people go, I'm going to drill down here for a good entry. Like, you are now? Is that what you're going to do? And look at how fucked up this indicator is on this time frame. Also, I think with the no-nonsense forex guy, he's taken the daily charts and he's gotten, like, since he's living in supposedly this 14, he gives the illusion or the impression that he's living in a 14 period RSI where he may be running a 3. I don't understand why he wouldn't if he knew how RSI, well, I'm sorry, he doesn't use RSI. Other than just the high, low, and close, when you talk about the opening, if I put an open line on the chart here, I think you can see why it's a whole different world. If I insert a moving average and just make it for the open only, this is when it really, I did it just for kicks because I was curious to see what it would look like if I was to use the open instead of the close as my, although it doesn't update real time, so it's just there written in stone, just one beat behind you. And so you have the crossover. So you put this on open, and it's just funny how it looks. Every time it crosses over, you would sell, right? And so here you get whipsawed. Did it go up or down? Well, if it crossed over, it went down. So the open finally crosses over the close. Look at this whipsaw action here. It's hysterical. The close. I have to get a different color for the close. See, there's a whole new problem. Since they don't have that. I'm going to make it like yellow on the open. Just make this guy, I don't know. That's why I hate using colors. Go Dodger blue. So we cross over. closes through the open. Right now you're short. We close through the open. Look at here how it's banging on it. Never fucking makes it back. Closes below the open. Crossover. Go along. It's perfect. Better than Ranko. Get a little whipsaw in here. I'll give you that. You got a little whipsaw. You sold, you bought, you sold, you bought, you sold. You sold. Close through the open. Look at this. You find support at the open. Because that's a doji, see? Also, you know when it goes all crissy-cross here, right? That's your pivot. There's so many ways to dissect this data that it's just insane, honestly. You could lose your mind looking at this shit. But we kind of know that it's possible it could go up, it's possible it could go down in the end. And what can you do? What can you do about it? I saw my dollar CAD going up here. Looks like this could drift up. So I just say for tonight, I'd be selling here on the dollar CAD. I'd sell up in there. Look how they the rides over for the retrace on the crude oil into this. Here's this big accumulation fight, and don't forget the guy that sold that for the big rip back, and it's just so spicy now. Here's the new buy window. So, you know, if you bought this pullback, you were lucky to get to this floor, but it actually overshot the runway. Went ramming up into here. Here was the glorious seller's window, the lonely wick, double top there. Could have also sold at the end of the day. There's two sells there. If you're going to get in before these limits start filling here, you would sell early, and that even that trade you're up on. So aggressive sellers sell everything on the way up. They buy everything on the way down. This is the way it is. If you're scaling in and scaling out, you're making the most money. You're making more money because you're doing a lot more work. Here we coming down into my buy window on the dollar. I guess I never talked about this fucking thing. I got all sidetracked, but like I said at the bottom here, looking for these small bars to get in. I'm not going to try to make an argument for volume. Whether the volume exists or not, that doesn't have anything to do with my stop placement, so I don't really care about volume. But and you could use it as you could use this as an added confirmation to say, okay, now we're going to get in. But if you didn't scale in on something on the way there, I just don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I want to get in before the drama, so I want to buy this price here. When the true range is per bar is low, so right here, anything below this line, I'm a buyer, either direction. And when it goes above here, I got to get out, right? Anything above here, I'm getting out. So if you can see the trade as you follow along here, I get into a trade, and when it heats up to here, I get out. So I just made 20 pips. Volatility dies down, I get in. Comes to here, I get out. So I get in really big here with really tight orders here. Right? I get in heavier here because see the ATR down here. And the volume's low too. So I want to get in before the volume heats up. So if you think that you're waiting for this volume spike, and I can understand your thinking, you're saying that when the market moves on volume, it's a real move like this. Look at this. Moves on volume. And in the end, you're kind of right. It did go up. But this volume is because you're filling this window, right? This gushing volume is the time to... If you're saying counter trend traded, I'd say yes. Reversal trading. But they don't trade reversals at no nonsense forex guys. So the whole thing, you have to look at what he's saying. How ridiculous it is. How contradictory. This is like watching politics right now with these demented claims that people are making, and they're getting demented and old. This Pelosi girl can barely speak. She's really bad. She's a Speaker of the House. She's like completely... She needs to see an oral surgeon, okay? She's got more lisp than 5 gay guys. It's just not right. There's something wrong there. Also, I want to fix the scale before I close out the video, because I get kind of anxious when I can't see like what's really going on here. Okay, so we're dripping down. I'm going to start buying below here. So I'm going to buy at the market right now, and I'm going to buy in limits. So if I think that, so this is my method. I buy new lows, but I don't bet the ranch on those. If I see that we're down here, if we are going down for the next hour, I will buy at the market, and then I'll start putting in limits down here. I'll just walk away from this trade. Now, I also may put in limits that are 5 pips deep for 15 minutes, 8 pips deep for a half hour, all week long down here at the 100-yard line. That wouldn't even have to look at that thing. Maybe I get on the short train on the way there if we ever get a rally. So here's my filters. So here's my criteria for entry. I accidentally hit the wrong button. If the market's down, I buy. If it's up, I sell at the market. It's how wide the stop do I put on that ticket? And all my tickets are 1K, so it's always going to be appropriate to the move. If it's on up 100 pips, maybe I'm going to put a 75 pip stop or a 50 or 100. I maybe put all 3, right? I'm allowed to do that, and I'm also allowed. So I gave myself a real lack of rules. I made rules about dollar amount risk per day. If the market can't fit into my trap, or I can't ride it at the market with the tightest stop I could possibly come up with without getting whipsawed and having to re-enter the trade, because now that it's okay, if my limits are sitting down there waiting to get filled, I got to gauge how much do I have invested in limits that allows me any extra room without going over the dollar risk per day to trade at the market. So I under trade at the market because I want those limits to do the work that I may not be around for that trade. So my ego won't be, in other words, it's a lot of fun to pull the trigger, so to speak, in like my tequila buddy. He wouldn't, I don't think he ever placed a limit order. Did you play stops though? He goes, I can just trail stops all the way up. And as the account grew and it came off of the floor, he had more margin available, and it started to just it was a $1 yen retracement. That's right. It was $1 yen. It's 5 p.m. in Asia. The market just got pummeled. It's down 90 pips. It's drifting up in Asia. It's filling his buy stops because it was an amazing textbook pullback that he wasn't really aware of, but he didn't have to be, because his technique, his way of getting in, his tactics was all that mattered. As soon as the market retraces, he's getting filled and he's getting stopped into pyramiding in. It's a completely different concept than scaling in and dumping as it retraces. The only thing psychologically disturbing about what he does is doing that system. Everything has its downfall, just like people would say, well, you're catching a falling knife. There's a bad side to every relationship. And so as you're getting filled, what if it's just nothing but a dead cat bounce, and now you've just overfilled the wagon, and don't forget there was no stops on his tickets, and it just starts to crush down. That's a problem. So then the account's bye-bye, even though it looks so good retracing. It's just that, and I was laughing at him on the phone. So I'm on the phone with him, I'm watching it retrace, and I'm going, yeah, I see what you're talking about. And I'm thinking to myself, God damn, this thing really is retracing. Look at this thing just drift up. So the fact that for him, he's winning, and I'm thinking, God, I would have already been out of this thing. I can't believe it keeps drifting back. Like it was like it had been so punished though. So it had to heal slowly, and it just was amazing how much money he made on that trade. But now, of course, he steps into the market with more confidence, not really knowing even what the next version of that would be. And these are versions of patterns. So there's a 50 pip version of that pattern, and there's a 500 pip version of the pattern. So versions do matter. And a lot of people say, well, I back tested statistically the engulfed pattern is the best. Yeah, but on what day of the week and all these things. And is this a 1% risk kind of game that you're doing? And are you being selective? And I guess that it would be some type of confirmation. I'm not saying everything that everybody says is bad. I say stuff I agree with out there. I mean, yeah, I think that 70% of the market is chop. I'm going to say 80% is chop and 20% is a big blasting move. A trendy, high momentum, where you can ride a stop confirmation turtle system, right, for 10 hours, 10 days, where it just keeps crushing. You're like, holy shit. That's a lot of fucking money, especially if you rode that train. Don't forget the guy that rode that train. When he's done with that, he's like, oh my God. He's probably going to lose about at least 20% of that, trying to replicate that moment. Like, who hasn't tried to go out on this original first date, right? So this is what you would do. I see these guys, when I was growing up. I'm like, dude, is this the same girl? You pick a certain kind of girl. Yeah, he picks a certain kind of girl. So, and then, of course, when the market changes and those girls all have, like, some kind of, they're dead. And that species is gone or it's extinct. Now what are you going to do? So if you built your whole life on certain kind of pelts and then that species of varmint's gone, what are you going to do for a backup plan? And that's what's happening with these kind of situations here where people are trading the very snug tight stops, which are only good in a scalper's world. And yeah, you could become a scalper. You can be like a specialist, It's open season as far as what you want to do, but I'm just saying, a lot of the stuff that people throw around is kind of this view that's kind of they're trying to soften reality with these indicators. I think that's my only gripe. And soften the harshness of reality. Anyway, so I think I'm gonna take a nap and come back to this. See how my dollar CAD trade works out here. I think they're going to keep taking that north. I think this is the last of the Mohican stop hunts here. I think we're going to go up here and I'm going to go test that area soon. That looks like a given. I don't know. I think this could tank more. So, they're coming into my buy limits here. So just before I close out. Look, the volume's kicking up. Yeah, no, didn't the big banks show? Yeah, so I could trade into this thing. I'd be definitely freaking out when we got to here. I'd have to take something off the table. There's no way around it. These markets don't give you that many pips. I'm getting out something here if I'm short. And right here, they just took out this 1 hour low. That was a low. That was a higher low, don't forget. That was a previous higher low. Look at this window we're in now, so... But I'm not looking down at this shit. I'm just going, holy shit, look at this thing. Are we trapped below here? Are they going to buy like crazy now? Should I buy like crazy all the way down to here? Like, I'm definitely buying here. I wouldn't even have to be here for that trade. That's just so fucking obvious. Now, the question is, can I get into 50% of the position here and at 100% here, and then I'll just put... I may have put a master stop way out here. And, of course, eventually they could come after that. With all the zigzags on the way to this price, it's possible for the market to zigzag its way down there and just totally finally hit that price. And people would say, oh, you put your stop down there. Yeah, I can't fucking believe it. But I stuck to my... Well, good for you. Damn good trader is what you is. Son, you're going to go to trading heaven trading like that. I like the way you're giving some money back. Because they're going to want... I like when the no-nonsense forex guy says, and this is the most criminal thing this guy said that just gets under my skin. Like some absolute fucking... I don't even know. This malevolent universe view of reality. Sure, they'll let them indicators work for you for a little bit just to keep you in the game. Yeah, the bankers, they be tugging the price up and down here, flipping. Somebody asked me once, I swear legitimately, do you think the banks are running MACD 1226.9 and they're fucking with people? I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I don't think enough people are on MAC out of the box settings to fuck with. And even if they were, really? And this is another thing. If they're using algos, and all these banks are so proficient at trading, the market should stand still. Don't forget, they are the biggest participants manipulating price. These kind of comments are so insane on their face. It's like a flat earther discussing, well, is it a rectangle or is it a square? Dude, you're calling it flat? When I think it could be like a star. Well, maybe it is a circle. That'd make more sense. Because that's like almost like being round. I mean, what in the fuck? The market is the ultimate Rorschach test. I can see how you see the world there, son. They be stop hunting me. I know they're using that MACD against me. Fuck. That divergence failed, and that trend line's bullshit too. I bet there's a banker out there using trend lines against me. Who's coming to these conclusions? How can your brain be so mushed out that would even make sense? What the fuck? So I get it. No nonsense forex guy. His thing is that maybe he just did too much like LSD or something. He fried his brain like they used to have on Dragnet. He tried to jump out of a window. He thought there was critters on him. He had fomication. Look at this window. Who's not buying here? This is set it and forget it dumb shit entry. This is how the Bilderbergers trade, don't forget. I just love all these notions. Look at this beautiful channel. We're just dripping down this thing. But really, are we going to trap here and keep going up? Or are we going to keep dripping down? Oh. Australian dollar's going through the floor. Look at, bye-bye. See you, Australian dollar. Oh, here's this guy that likes to trade stop hunts. I'd start selling right now. This thing's going to go through the fucking floor. Look at this thing. Top of the hour. Dude, they're going to beat the shit out of this currency. We could take out this wick. Can you imagine when we get to hear how brutal it's going to be? If we take that out, which is totally doable. Look at that. Don't forget, we've been down here 2008. Look at this 2009 low. Holy shit. You could go there. No problem. No problemo. Dude, I'm buying all the way to that line. If that's the case, look at this thing. They're killing it. This fucker hasn't gone up for this one goes sheer down. 3 weeks sheer down. Look at this thing touch the trend line. Dead on. Trend lines don't work though. I know, but when they do, it's crazy. Look at that thing get beat to shit. But yeah, a true believer. I mean, a real bull is buying from here all the way down there. It's scaling in right now. I like that trade. I'd like to be half underwater here with a bunch of dry powder down here and just set that and forget it. Of course, if I want to do that, I'm going to come over here in New Zealand dollar and do the same trade. I'm going to buy this whole window down here. Look at him crush this thing. I love it. Now, the guy that trend trades that, where does he get in, right? On the daily. Here's the bottom, become a top. There's your entry. Yeah, that's it. Even the breakout traders got in here. Then the turtle traders just kept adding. All the way down. Nice downtrend. Yeah, don't forget we got the reversal traders cleaning up. The guys that bought this, cleaning up. Fast money in one day. Now we're just dripping down. Pressure's building up on top. Above that line. Anyways, look at this fuck. Look at this daily. Look at it melt down. Exquisite downtrend. But let's not forget these retracements. Or just the breakout trades. Get in, get out. I guess here's a nice rally. Sell at the market on every rally. Cover on every opposite move. Anyways, I got to run to the store. So good luck dealing with the erratic behavior of the market. Here comes the dollar CAD screaming north.